Welcome back to At Your Service. This is a weekly live stream that I do with seasoned service-based business owners. I have a great guest, my good friend Deep. Thank you. Thank you so much for being here, Deep. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Brandon. Appreciate it. Thanks for having me here.
Of course, of course. Yeah. So why don't you give the audience a little bit of a background of who you are and what you do?
Sure thing, Brandon. Appreciate it. So, a little bit about myself. I'm an entrepreneur from the Philadelphia region. I've been here for about 20 years, and I started my company about 5 years ago, I'd say. Uh, I have a company called Caramel Advisors. We provide outsource accounting services to small and medium businesses and also partner up with CPA firms and provide them with resources. I have a team of about 80 plus highly qualified accountants in India, and we support the businesses in the US through them.
Wow, that's pretty incredible that you're up to 80 and 80 employees and only being a few years in. Within your first year of starting the business, do you know how many people you hired within your first year?
So I have to clarify a little bit. The 80 people we have, I would
Hmm.
say about little under half, probably about 35, 37 people are legacy employees that have been with us for a long time. The firm's been in existence, the accounting firm in India has been in existence for about 15 years now.
Got it.
Uh, Caramel Advisors is the new venture, which is the partnership between me and the firm that we started about 5 years ago. So I
Got it.
would say about half of the growth is from the effort that we've had over the last 4 years or so.
Oh, wow.
Uh,
Okay. Yeah.
and a little bit of interesting background about us is that, all this kind of came about to be organically.
Got it.
Uh, I spent most of my career in corporate finance. I worked as CFO, VP finance for various organizations. And then about 6, 7 years ago, I set up my own shop and started doing fractional CFO work.
Hmm.
And when I started doing that, what I found out was that anytime I got an assignment, they first needed bookkeeping help.
Right.
And frankly, I didn't sign up to do that, but I couldn't do anything till it was done. So there was this need that was created. And at the time, I was an advisor to this accounting firm in India.
Mm.
So on a couple of projects, I brought them over to help me out. They did a fantastic job to the point where I had other fractional CFOs who wanted to use them. So I said, let me get organized. And we set up a company, and that's how Caramel Advisors was formed. So we set it up for a few friends, so to speak, saying, here you go, you have a US company, US contract, US billing, and we take care of the back end. So you still get the benefit of offshoring.
Right.
And we kind of let it be. And I kind of went back to doing my thing. And then a couple years go by, and I sit down with my partners and we take a look at this. And Caramel Advisors had grown on its own. And I said, well, what happened here? And I said, well, it was one partner to another, one client to another. We got some referrals, and all of a sudden we were a small but viable business.
Right.
So that's when I said we need to sit down and focus on this and grow this and develop it further. So I started winding down my CFO practice and started focusing on business development for this. And that's how we started growing business, Brandon.
That's just incredible. Yeah, I'm super amazed and astonished at how much you've been able to grow it. Yeah, it's pretty awesome. And obviously, having to manage such a large team comes, I'm sure, with its own set of challenges. And from your perspective, when you first launched your company, what was a challenge that you faced early on, and how did you kind of overcome that?
Right. So I think, for us, because this was an organic need,
Hmm.
there wasn't really an objective that was set up upfront to go ahead and grow the company and have certain targets we would achieve. That happened, I think, when we decided to focus and grow the business, which was, I would say, about in the last couple of years, 2.5, 3 years ago. And that's when we decided that we needed to grow. And obviously, like any business development person will say, I think the challenge always has been trying to find more prospects that you can convert into sales.
Right.
And we were somewhat fortunate in that because we had a referrals, and we had testimonials from the network, which allowed us to grow. And we kind of lived up to those testimonials by providing good service and making sure that the clients were happy. And that allowed us to grow. But I think our initial challenge was to kind of connect with the right folks and put the word out there and try to kind of make ourselves stand out in a fairly crowded marketplace.
For sure. For sure. Yeah. I think the ability to stand out, obviously, it separates you from the competition. Yeah, you bring up really, really solid points. And, one of the other things that I was kind of thinking about, what do you, so why do you enjoy what you do?
Well, number one is it's a very good feeling to be able to deliver client satisfaction.
Of course.
There's always the monetary side of any business where you're making some money and earning a living and so on and so forth. But then there is always the intangible side of it, and which is why most service providers kind of you know get into the business and do what they are doing using their skill set. It's because you're able to deliver satisfaction to a client, you're able to solve a need for a client, and you know provide a solution to some problems that they may have. So I think that's probably one of the main things that kind of drives me to keep going forward. And the other is, frankly, I enjoy it. It's fun to kind of see this
Yeah.
thing grow. You plant seeds along the way, and they kind of develop into different projects and different fruit that they bear. So that's been fun. And of course, we've been growing our team, which helps, in terms of building relationships with the new team members that we have. So I appreciate that a lot too.
Yeah, absolutely. I think when you're able to have client satisfaction, it's very rewarding because you know that your efforts are being recognized, right? Like that's incredible.
Right.
So you bring up some amazing points. And earlier, you obviously, like any business, you'll have competition. So from your perspective, what really makes your company stand out from the competition?
That's a great question. Uh, like I said, this is a fairly crowded marketplace. There
Mhm.
are lots of service providers who provide outsourced accounting services, and quite a few that provide offshore accounting support also. So what we've decided for ourselves to kind of carve out a niche for ourselves is to stick to certain guiding principles. One of the things that we do is that we focus on not working on an hourly basis.
Mm,
We focus on providing clients with dedicated resources. So anytime a client engages with us and they need somebody, they basically get a name and a nose assigned to them.
right.
They are going to work with a dedicated resource. Essentially, they are gaining an employee on an invoice.
Hmm.
And this is a new team member that they are gaining, and that then allows both the client as well as the team member to benefit from the learning curve as they go along. And on top of that, I think there's an opportunity for them to build a relationship, which essentially then secures them, the client basically, with the firm. So, I mean, that helps us with our relationship with the client. And also, on top of that, what we have an added benefit on the firm side is that I get to tell my employees that you are now dedicated to a team, you're part of a team, and you're not being commoditized, which also helps with our retention.
Definitely. Yeah, absolutely. Employee retention, I think, is one of the hardest things because now it's it's a little bit more common to grow in your career, especially if you're an employee. It used to be vertical growth within a company, and now really it's more, or at least that's the kind of mindset now is what you would call horizontal growth, just moving from company to company who will ultimately offer more. So if you're able to incentivize your employees to stay, that's incredible. That's
Right.
awesome.
Our focus has always been more on the relationship side of it, Brandon,
Hmm.
because I think, one has to be honest when you kind of get into this line of services that, you will find a lot of people who will be able to do the debits and credits. I think when you gain a team member, they feel that they belong, and there's a different level of commitment that you will see, and that leads to client satisfaction. It's a fairly intangible aspect of this, but we've definitely seen the results, and we've seen that materialize over the years. So we're kind of sticking with this as one of our key guiding principles. We kind of focus on, we decided to focus on some simple things like, essentially, we're not going to promise anything that we can't do, and we're going to do everything that we say. So we just stick to that, and we try to maintain transparent relationships where what we tell the client is exactly what I'm going to tell my team members. In fact, we got on the same call and discuss what's been agreed to, just to make sure that we're all on the same page and we're all rowing in the same direction rather than you know getting some conflicting information there. So I think those things have kind of worked for us. We believe in authenticity a lot. In
Yes.
fact, if you go to our website, Brandon, you will see, lots of faces because we have a lot of people. Uh, but everything you see on our website is 100% real and 100% Caramel Advisors. Meaning, if you see an office, it's our office. If you see a chair, it's our chair. If you see a darn calculator, it's our calculator. It's all our people, no stock images.
That is awesome. Yeah, when you have an office, like in an office building, I think it shows a lot more credibility to your business. And right now, I have some co-working space since I just launched my company, but you know, I have something, but it's not like anything major. But
Right.
to your point,
And and we don't have a big office building. We have space in an office, but we're proud of it and we show that around. I'm not going to find a stock image of a glossy glass building and present it as ours when it's not.
that's so funny. Yeah, no, that's really important to show who who you are and what you've done. Like even on my website, even though I just closed one deal, it's still a pretty sizable deal, but it's photos of the property that I closed on. Um,
Absolutely.
so very, very important. And just want to kind of switch gears a little bit. Obviously, everybody has to pay taxes unless you're trying to um, do tax evasion, and you'll obviously wind up paying.
Everybody should be paying taxes.
Everybody should be paying taxes. Should is the correct word in that sentence. Um, so obviously, anybody can really be your customer, but have you kind of carved out a niche, or who is really the ideal customer for your company?
Gotcha. So we focus not just on taxes, we actually do a lot more work on just the basic bookkeeping, end-to-end bookkeeping.
Hmm.
Uh, and the way we've kind of, looked at the marketplace and tried to look at the segment that we are approaching is we focus on businesses that are in the lower end of the middle market. So I would say, businesses that are, let's say, 50 million or less in annual revenues.
Got it.
They could be service industry, they could be manufacturing, they could be for-profit, non-profit. This is not a constraint, it's a focus that we have developed, self-imposed focus, so that we can be targeted. And there's a reason for that too. We find that in this space, clients usually are facing some trouble in terms of finding good resources.
Right.
In fact, the bigger issue that they have is if they find a good accountant, there's no career path for that accountant in a company that's 20, 30, $40 million in revenue. So they end up losing that person. And then you have to disclose it to the next candidate why that person had left, which kind of makes it that much more difficult to find the next person. That's where we come in and fit in quite well, where I can provide a dedicated resource who will most likely stay longer than most employees will. And I think they both get to benefit from it and, have the learning curve experience, which will benefit the company as well as the client. So I think that's one area that we focus on. The other channel we have is we partner up with CPA firms.
Okay.
And provide them with resources that they need and help them grow their business. And then the third channel is basically we support fractional CFOs because that's how we were formed. So they have a special place in our heart.
Definitely. No, that's pretty incredible. I think it's good that you have that cap in terms of $50 million in terms of who you're going after, because, anybody could really be your client, but having more of a focus, I think, is a lot smarter, especially for your marketing efforts. Yeah. So I think that's great, Deep.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course. And, once again, you've done such a great job of growing your company. For you, what do you think has been your secret to generating all this business within such a short period of time?
I think it kind of boils down to one simple thing is, we promise what we can deliver and we deliver what we promise.
Yeah.
Authenticity is the key to everything because this is more or less a relationship business. When we do accounting for businesses and help firms, succeed, it's based on a relationship that we are building with them. And authenticity leads to building confidence and strengthening the relationship.
Absolutely.
That's probably the number one driver for us.
Yeah, absolutely.
We are candid about not being perfect, but we strive to be, and we are happy to, make mistakes, correct them, and make sure we don't repeat them.
That's wise words. Wise words. I love that, Deep. Yeah, that's everybody needs that in business, and I love that. It's great. Wanted to shift gears once again. 80 people. It's pretty significant. And with your company, do you have a business partner, and do you believe it's important or that it's necessary to have a partner in business?
Yes. So I do have business partners. I actually have 4 partners who are in India who manage the firm.
Got it.
No person is an island. You can't do this by yourself. If I look tall because I'm standing on shoulders of giants, right? They make me look good. It's my team that does a good job, allows me to go out and present the company in a good light and secure some business and make us look good. We have 4 partners in India who manage the team that we have of 80 people. They make sure that these folks are, trained properly. They basically have their, needs at the office met. we coach them in terms of, how to communicate, how to present themselves, strengthening them on the non-technical side of things. And try to make sure that they feel at home, and we have a uh, very strong family type environment there. And if you ever get a chance to come visit us in India, you will see that it's very much so.
Well, Deep, India has been on my list of countries to visit. I have not been yet, but I have.
Let's make it happen.
Let's make it happen. I've so one of my dreams is to go to an Indian wedding, and I was invited back in 2019, right? So right before COVID, and I should have went, but I don't know why I didn't. I think I had a few prior commitments, but I'm really kicking myself for not
So
traveling out there.
I think we might be able to help you there, Brandon. So I was in India in June,
Really?
because in June we had a caramel wedding.
Really?
Two of our employees got married to each other. And, obviously that was the first caramel wedding. So it was a big deal. And, we had a lot of fun. And in fact, the client that one of the employees was assigned to, that client came over from Dallas to attend the wedding with her son, and
Wow.
they enjoyed it a lot. I can tell you this: June's probably not the best time to go to India because it's a little warm, to put it mildly. But we had a blast, and they really enjoyed themselves. It was a very nice wedding, and it was a lot of celebrations, over a 3-day period, which was a lot of fun. Given the age group of my team in India, I can almost guarantee you that this was not a one-time event. There will be several more weddings coming down the pike. So feel free to join us at one of
Oh
those.
my gosh, Deep. That is that is that is the only thing I needed to hear. I have no problem inviting myself to an Indian wedding, so that's awesome. It's really, really cool. Um, yeah, Deep. Really, really appreciate you mentioning that. Um, have a handful of just a few more questions that are not related to what you do professionally. So the first one, if you weren't in your current line of work, what else could you see yourself doing professionally?
Uh, I think I might have continued working in finance in a CFO or a related role.
Hmm.
Uh, and I think since I spent most of my career in that, I would have continued with that. This just happened organically and gave me an opportunity to be an entrepreneur, and I'm loving it.
That's awesome. Yeah, no, it's really cool. Um, Another question. What is something that nobody or very few people know about you?
Ooh. I think my close friends and family kind of know I'm a pretty good cook. So, you know, especially my family has standing requests for certain things that I have to make, and it takes a long time to make those, and they're always asking for it again and again. So I must be halfway decent there.
That's awesome, Deep. Yeah, no, it's really, really cool.
And
That
then
was,
the other thing that I think almost everybody who meets me knows is that I'm an Eagles fan because I'm in Philadelphia.
of course.
I came to the city probably 20 plus years ago, but so when I moved here, somebody came by, they plonked me in front of a TV, put a green jersey on me, pointed at the TV, and taught me how to curse, and I became an Eagles fan.
That's a good, that's a good one, Deep. And you know, immigrating here from another country, I think American sports, whether it's baseball, basketball, or football, it's very much so a culture shock. And you landed in one of the cities that have probably the most intense fans ever. So it's really cool that you're an Eagles fan
and a proud one too.
and a proud one. Exactly. It's really really cool. All right. So second to last question: what is one way that you like to give back?
So, since I've been in the country, on my own and kind of built a career for myself, along the way, a lot of people have helped me
Hmm.
in, some real tangible ways, in, emotional ways, and providing all sorts of different kinds of support and advice and such. And I feel that that's been very valuable to me.
Hmm.
So I try to kind of give back by doing the same.
Hmm.
I work with a couple of organizations here where there are uh, startup organizations, and I try to help them by being a mentor, providing advice to them. So that's one thing that I've done. And then over the years, I've built a decent network. So I try to make the right networking connections, which, hopefully helps the two parties, but it's also pretty gratifying for me because you connected to good people, and hopefully goes down a path where there's something productive that comes out of it and helps people in general.
Oh, 100%. And going back to the question of how you stand out from your competition, for you, I would also add that because and I said this earlier today, actually, when was speaking with a group of people. You know, it's I think it's great to have a big network, but if you aren't able to connect people within your network, I think it's very hard to stand out from the competition. So being able to truly be a connector of other people, I think that's an amazing way to stand out and an amazing way also to give back.
That is true, Brandon. Yeah, nicely put.
Yeah, absolutely. And then the very last question, if there is a person who wants to get in touch with you, what is the best way for them to reach out?
I think our website is probably the best way to kind of reach out to us, www.carameladvisors.com. And you can see me, you can see my team there and our offices, and an invitation to India.
Of course, yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And this will also go up on LinkedIn, so I'll tag your LinkedIn profile, so then people could
Thank
reach
you.
out to you like that as well. But yeah, that about wraps it up. Deep. Really, really appreciate you being on, and really enjoy this conversation with you.
Likewise, Brandon.